Welcome back to Seven Moons Astrology, where mysticism and science combine. My name is Sarah Kirby, and this is a reading for the new moon in Sagittarius. It's exact on the 23rd of November, just one day after we enter Sag season. But it's not just this one day that matters, because the entirety of the next lunar cycle is described by the energy of the new moon. It's an opening, and the next month unfolds in subtle and thematic ways according to the new moon here and now on the 23rd of November. Because it's a new moon, it's the initiation, it's the perfect time to set your intentions, which is why I recommend you open up your chart online and see which houses are occupied by Sagittarius. Set your intentions for this month accordingly to the areas of life described by the houses where you have Sagittarius with respect to your sun, moon, and your rising sign. That way you really focus your intention on the areas of life and the parts of your consciousness that are most activated by this energy right now. I have a free guide, a PDF download that describes the astrology in plain language using keywords for the houses, the signs, and the planets so that you can see what's unfolding month over month and set your intentions accordingly. So you can get that and save it to your phone or your computer using the link in the description below. So back to the new moon in Sagittarius, it's at the first degree. When the sun and moon are together in the same sign at the same degree, that's when we get the new moon. So I'll highlight that here for you. And we also have Venus and Mercury in a wide conjunction. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. First, we need to talk about what Sagittarius is really all about. Sag is about gaining a higher perspective on things, zooming out to see the complete picture in a way that really contextualizes our growth and gives it a lot of purpose and hope and optimism, because we can learn to have trust and faith in the way that everything unfolds. There's just optimism for the future. There's a vision for the possibilities that exist before us, even in the midst of challenging experiences. Overall, I think this new moon looks beautiful and bright and hopeful. It's kind of like we just rounded the corner and can see that, oh yeah, there's a light over there at the end of that tunnel. Like, we're not right up against the light yet, but we just came around the corner and we're like, okay, yeah, things could really work out for me. Well, why? It's because we're just coming off the end of a massive Scorpio eclipse season. We had a total lunar eclipse in Taurus and a really strong new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, with a lot of hard aspects, a lot of challenging, tension-filled energies. And it's not to say that everybody necessarily had a really intense bad experience. A lot of us had a really massive life change in a positive direction. And some of us are really just shifting in more subtle ways. It depends what your signs are. Really, the fixed signs are getting a lot of intense life-changing energies going on right now. So Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. But all of us are really focused on creating permanent change in our lives. And the way that we do that during Scorpio season, during this past month that we're coming off of, is by taking a deep look inside, peering very closely to analyze the parts of us that we never want to look at. The ways we've been hurt, the traumas that we store that make us act in ways that really might not be benefiting us anymore. It's the icky, darker parts of life, manipulative people, manipulative things, uncertainties that we have, fears that we have, and the ways that we try to control life and reality because of what we fear, right? And it's also about coming into an understanding of what it is we really desire, right? A lot of times we deny ourselves things that we desire because we're afraid, or because we're being manipulated, or because, it would cause us to have to let go of something that isn't quite right for us, even if we're attached to it. That's what this past Scorpio eclipse season was all about. And it was conjunct Venus, the new moon solar eclipse. So a lot of us were deeply focused on creating permanent change and transformation with Venus themes. So money, relationships, possessions, houses, family, those sorts of things that we're attached to. Venus is also about things that we value and the value structures that we use to create our identity. So we were going through massive transformations all around when it comes to those areas of life, and really coming to understand what is not serving me anymore, what is toxic to me at this point, who, what things, what foods, what situations that I'm using to make money, and what do I need to let go of in order to actually meet what I actually desire, to really confront what I desire, even if it means admitting to myself that I'm not getting it right here and now in this current circumstance, and have to change some things and let go of some things. And we were also digging out, the trauma and the areas where we've become very distrustful of the universe because we've been hurt or we've been scarred or we've been manipulated, and examining how we got ourselves in those situations and peering at it very closely, asking a lot of questions about what to do next, and ruminating perhaps obsessively or analytically about how it is to get what we desire and avoid what we fear, right? That's what Scorpio season is all about. So on the other side of this massive transformation that's taking place, we meet the new moon in Sagittarius, which is all about coming back to faith and trust in the universe. And the way that we do that is by zooming out and seeing the higher perspective, and how each experience of challenge or hardship or massive transformation and shedding our skin and becoming someone different and confronting our persistent, constant evolution and change is that we're growing. Everything is serving us to grow and bring us closer to God, to the universe, to divine inspiration. This is the first degree of Sagittarius, so it's really just that initial inkling that things could work out in our favor and that there's a lot of possibility ahead of us if we can just align our beliefs accordingly. Sagittarius is also a lot about our beliefs, our philosophies, the way that we see the world and approach it. It's about choosing a more positive belief expectation, even if we've been hurt, and trusting that things will work out for us because the trust itself is what makes it so. Things are always working out for us, whether we can see it or not. Even when it's hard, it's serving us in just the right way that we need. And I think at the new moon in Sagittarius, we're able to zoom out and see that that is true. Maybe you don't have all the critical, factual, specific answers to your questions yet. Maybe you don't have the plan in place with every, T crossed and I dotted, and you know exactly what's coming. And so maybe there's still some uncertainty, right? And that, I think, is what we've got with Mercury here. Because Mercury in Sagittarius, it's actually at the sign of its detriment, its exile. It doesn't do well here. There's some kind of contradiction or conflict because Sagittarius is about everything big and far-reaching and distant future that I know is going to happen just because I believe it to be so. I know it'll work out because I have faith and because I'm excited about it. Mercury is about the specific details. It's about factual information, not our intuition, not our faith. And so I think my message here about that is that you don't need to have all of that figured out, right? You don't need to have every detail perfectly in place to move forward with a positive belief expectation. That's what the new moon in Sagittarius is about. There's more here because Jupiter is stationing direct exactly on the same day as the new moon, which is good, okay? And let me just pause here. I don't mean it's good in the sense that every single person is going to have a blissful, amazing experience. I want to speak to as many people as possible here and say that it's not necessarily that you are having good things happen. Maybe you're moving through something quite challenging. That could definitely be the case. But even if that is so, there's blessings and the ability to just rest in faith that come from this energy. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and it rules Pisces. So it's very comfortable in this arrangement here, and it is in an out of sign conjunction or trine to the energy. So because it's at the final degrees of Pisces here and the Sag moon is at the very initial part of Sagittarius, this is in orb of a trine. It's just an out of sign trine. But I think it's really very much so part of this energy, and it's active here because Jupiter stationing really elevates the energy of Jupiter in our consciousness. It brings it to the front of our experience, and we're starting something new here that's Jupiterian. What is Jupiter? Okay, what is Sagittarius? Well, travel, working with a new teacher, education, a new belief system, an update to your religious or philosophical views, new beliefs that you're holding for yourself that are more positive and bright for the future, your own expansion, your own evolution, foreign places, people, things, foreign affairs. This is also law, legal endeavors. So you may be starting something new in any of those areas. And even if it's something challenging on paper, this is really working out for your benefit because Jupiter is stationing direct in alignment with this energy. And you're able to see now, if you zoom out and stop focusing and fixating on the details, which you're meant to do because we're not in Scorpio season anymore. Step into Sagittarius and give it to God and have faith. I say that every time anyway, but particularly now because there's a certain ease to this energy that goes, hey, everything's going to work out not just okay, but beautifully for the better. Let's talk about Venus, okay? Because Venus was a part of that new moon in Scorpio that we had. It was a part of what we're transforming here. So maybe what you're doing is I'll give some tangible examples. It could be something new in a Venus-Mercury way, a new work project, something new that you're doing for money that you're calling in, a vision that you're creating for how you're going to make money in the future, a vision for what your relationships are going to be like and how you're going to communicate in your relationships in a way that feels really good and like you really get to understand the world through this person. Maybe you're working on a new contract with somebody to grow the area of Sagittarius for you. So it's whatever that is for you, a new business or a new home. Maybe this is something that you are doing to study, something you're really passionate about, or teach something that is exciting to you, travel plans that you have for the future, or even this month in this present moment. It's a way to accept and evolve into the way that you're changing and to let that be okay. This is mutable energy. Sagittarius and Pisces are mutable energies. We're coming out of fixed signs into a mutable energy, which is about change and moving on and letting go and continually seeking new experiences, new horizons, new frontiers that help us stretch and get closer to God and grow more wise with each experience. And so I think the summary is rewriting, that's Mercury. Your beliefs, that's Sagittarius, and your values, that's Venus, around Venus themes, money, relationships, possessions, how you operate in the world, in order for them to be more positive and trusting in the universe, not distrusting and fearful and scarred and traumatized and hurt. That's Scorpio. We're trying to let that stuff go now and rewrite the narrative to be inspired by the plan that only the divine knows, and to rest in faith and hope in that. That's what I think this is about. Maybe I should say something quickly about this trine to Chiron that Mercury is making. And Chiron is also involved here in a quincunx to the South Node in Scorpio. So let's talk about that stuff too. So we got a little bit of Mercury, and we got Mercury in trine to Chiron in Aries, and an exact in conjunction between the South Node and Chiron. Chiron in Aries, it's here for about a 4-year period. We're about we're about 2 years into Chiron in Aries, which is really, I think, a lot about your wounded ego and constantly battling yourself. Aries is a battle, Chiron is your wounds, and there's probably a lot of fighting with yourself about what you should do or want in life and the way to be and your self-concept. And the South Node here in Scorpio is about letting go of the constant fight with self and the constant toxicity and the intensity, and moving more into peaceful acceptance of the self. And the trine to Mercury, I believe, is probably about communicating with God about who you really are and allowing that change to occur naturally, and to see yourself clearly, and to update in yourself what you've identified through the Scorpio season, to purge all the old fearful stuff and replace it with positive belief expectation and come out triumphant. There's a certain kind of alchemizing of a core wound here. Chiron in Aries is about the wound of self, and the trine to the new moon and the in conjunction to the south node in Scorpio to me says that if we can stop, because it could be hard with an in conjunction, although I think this moon is going to go pretty well. If you can stop ruminating over every single detail and thinking that you have to find a way to make it happen and force it to happen and push for it to happen and drive toward it to happen, will for it to happen, Chiron and Aries. If you can stop that and spinning up your energy about that and just relax and have faith and just focus on dreaming up what you want that vision to look like in the future and believing in it and trusting God and replacing fear with faith, you will come out triumphant. That's what I think. That's what I think this energy is. I don't have anything else to say. So have a wonderful new moon in Sagittarius. I will be posting horoscopes for the energy by sign on my Instagram at 7 Moons Astrology. You can follow me there for twice monthly horoscopes for your sun, moon, and rising sign. Thank you for watching with energy. Sarah.